What is good, Neo family? It's Ray J back with another video. And this one I want to talk about Neo stock. This thing is down about 17% for the day after some huge news came out. I'm going to break down what's going on with Neo's new convertible notes, what this means for the company, why on earth this could lead to some possible dilution in the future, and what this means for the share price moving forward. So I'm going to talk about Neo. I'm also going to talk about why tomorrow is going to be another big day as we have the FOMC meeting. I'm also going to talk about SPY, Tesla, and the QQQ very briefly, break down the future of Neo after what was just announced. But before breaking anything down all this information, let me just say a couple of things. I'm personally not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends very soon, and it's in just about 8 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with Neo. Neo was down 17.07% for the day, taking a massive hit. And this is because of some big news that just came out. So this article from the Motley Fool explains everything very well. I want to actually share this with you. So going down, what happened to Neo? We dropped about, what is this, 17.07%, giving back 10.4% of its market capitalization in just the morning alone. It also started dropping yesterday during the after hours as many people knew what was going on. So what happened? Why did NEO drop? Well, it is announced that NEO is planning to offer $500 million worth of convertible senior notes due 2029 and further $500 million worth of convertible senior notes due in 2030. So it's basically two of these $500 million convertible notes, which are worth $1 billion. So what does this mean? Well, convertible means that these notes can potentially be converted into NEO stock. Basically, that is what is going on here. NEO is taking on $1 billion in new debt in a bid. So they're taking on $1 billion in debt in a bid to raise cash to fund its cash bonfire of negative free cash flow. And the company is giving its investors basically the option to acquire even more notes, and that could lead to more debts, which could be as high as $1.15 billion USD. So, what's the good and bad in this, right? The good news and bad news here is that once again, this could lead to more cash that they could use in the meantime before they become profitable in the future. But it may take them a while to become truly and more consistently profitable. This is also going to be helping them to roll over their old debts so they can use part of it to like refinance, do things like that. This could help further strengthen its balance sheet as time goes on. So this is good for the short term. But there is one issue. The bad news is that the convertible debt like this may end up being converted into NEO shares, thus diluting NEO's existing shareholders out of a part of their ownership in the interest of the company. So this is similar, and this could likely lead to, it probably will, in my opinion, lead to dilution. And for that reason, NEO is going to take off debt so that it could leverage itself, but the cost of that would be possibly diluting. Now, NEO has some losses, $2.1 billion in losses with some negative free cash flow, but we knew this talking about this company, and we know that as time goes on, NEO is going to need more time to become profitable. NEO has to find a way to earn a profit from selling EVs, and it will happen in the future. I still am very confident in this, but NEO needs more time to achieve this. So, what are they doing? For the short term, they're giving themselves more leverage, trying to refinance their debt, do things like that with the convertible senior notes. But what's not so good about that is this could lead to a massive dilution for the company if we end up seeing the conversion to the shares, and this could lead to the current owners losing a part of their ownership because of Neo's dilution. So that is not so great news in a way. It's like good and bad in a way, but also not good at the same time because it kind of tells us that Neo is in a tough place, seeing how demand is affecting them. Not to mention the fact that they're not truly profitable just yet. But I tell you, one thing is that Tesla was also in this same position. Tesla was not always profitable either. It took them a very long time to become profitable. It was a struggle, but once they got to profitability, Tesla was able to see some insane growth. And I think NEO has the potential to do the same thing. It's just that they're going to need a lot of time. They're going to need, years, but it's going to be worth it at the end, in my opinion, because I still see so much upside potential. Now, when it comes to the market, as a reminder, at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, we have some very big data coming out. The Fed interest rate hike decisions coming out tomorrow at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time or New York time. Then at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we have the Fed press conference. This is when the Fed is going to have Jerome Powell giving his speech. Okay, so I want everyone to be prepared for this. This is going to be very important. Now, looking at CPI, we can see there's been a slight increase in CPI for all items, despite the fact that core is still on a downtrend. Futures did slow down a bit as we're very apprehensive and uncertain about what the Fed is going to do. But the data suggests that there's a 99% chance the Fed is going to pause or skip during this next rate hike. And even if they do skip, there is a risk of them raising rates again in the future. There's always the possibility of it if the Fed ends up having to do so. So could the Fed skip? They're most likely going to skip. But Jerome Powell, during his speech, he may say things about what on earth is going on and if the Fed's going to raise rates again. Now, NEO stock has ended up sinking, after a $1 billion worth of planned convertible debt offering. This is going to help them, it's going to get them into more debt. If anything, would help them refinance and do all those things. This is very important. It's going to improve their balance sheet to some extent, but like I said before, could lead to dilution, and it could be like a last-ditch effort to try to improve their balance sheet. So not the best of signs that some people would be looking at. Deutsche Bank was still saying you should buy NEO. The price-price ratio is dropping as NEO is losing strength. It looks very weak right now. And on top of this, not a whole lot else went on with it. Looking at some more data, you could see the volume was about 214 million. This was still very high volume, so a big crash on high volume. It looks very weak. So on the 4-hour time frame, we just sold off. There's no true sign of a balance. We actually went down to 7.5 in the after hours. We're trying to make our way back up. NEO is very, very oversold on the 4-hour. So we're going to be watching to see if this thing can try to get a rebound. I'm hoping that this thing tries to base very soon, but it may not be done just yet. We're going to be watching to see if this thing can come down to $8. There is a risk of it coming down to 8 first beforehand if we end up losing 8.5. So we're going to be watching 8.5 very carefully. If that breaks, I think $8 could come before this thing bounces. And then we might see NEO just trade sideways. It all depends on different factors. We might see NEO trade very sideways around this low 8 area. Then we might see a little bounce with the rate hike decision coming up. We could get very close to like 9 or at least 8.5, depending on how low we are to start with. And then when Jerome Powell gives his speech, we're going to see more volatility. If he pumps the markets, NEO could try to get back above $9. If he causes the market to get rug pulled, we could see NEO sink even lower into the $8 area, if not 7.75. All right, so that's what I'm seeing for the markets. Tomorrow we're going to trade sideways first. Then the rate hike decision comes out at 2. The market may pump off that. Spot can go to 445 depending on where we are. And then when Powell gives his speech, he may pump the market more or he could cause the rug pull. It all depends on Jerome Powell at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Tesla may trade sideways tomorrow, get a pump after the rate hike decision comes, slow down over time. Then Jerome Powell gives his speech and we'll see if he pumps us or he causes the market to drop. We'll just have to wait and see on that. Apple could do the same thing. Apple might kind of pump a little bit after the rate hike decision at 2, get very close to 180, and then we'll see if Powell causes this thing to go up to 181 or if he causes the market to get rug pulled and Apple to tank. Either one of those are all very possible. So we're going to be watching this all very carefully. Same thing with NVIDIA. Currently at this 435 area. I'm going to be watching it all very, very carefully to see what Jerome Powell causes. I think the same thing is going to happen throughout the market. Sideways price action to start off the day. The rate hike decision comes, we get a pop, then the market comes back down, and then Powell gives his speech, and we'll see which way we go after that. I'm not too sure about Jerome Powell, what he's going to say at 2:30 p.m. He could cause the QQQ to push for 372 plus, or he could cause another rug pull for us to come back down to 366. It all depends on what Powell ends up saying. All right, so hopefully this video was helpful, guys. I want the best for all of you, so I hope I brought some value into your guys' lives. I know that SPY is still on this downtrend, but FOMC could be a very, very big market moving event, and you never know what could happen with that coming out. So, anyways, NEO, I know it's a little green in the after hours, but that doesn't guarantee anything just yet. We have to see how it opens. Just like how yesterday during the after hours it started selling off a little bit. It did sell off here, but there were other instances where it like kind of pushed in the after hours before coming back down. So we have to be careful. We'll see what happens from here. There is a risk of it either bouncing off 8.5 or it could come down to the low 8s and then try to bounce. Then we should see some sideways price action, possibly a pop after the rate hike decision, close to $9 or so, or even 8.5, depending on how low we are. And then it cools off a little bit. Jerome Powell gives his speech, and we'll see what Jerome Powell causes. If Powell causes a big pump, NEO could pump back close to $9. If he gives us the rug pull, NEO could get very close to 7.9. So that's what I have for this video. Thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular rest of the day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you, and peace out.